everybody. It's Becky Mossbrucker here with the Stronger Together Tribe podcast. And today we are going to talk about organization. And we were just talking before this podcast started about how we need organizing with a lot of stuff. So we are going to concentrate a little bit right now on moms, and then it's going to explode into a lot of other categories. We have already learned that it can go all over the place. So this is Sylvia with ACME Planner. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And one of the first things I always like to start off with, question-wise, is what made you decide to choose this as a business for yourself?
Okay, so I was misdiagnosed as bipolar in my teens, and in my 30s, I was properly diagnosed with ADHD. And right around my proper diagnosis, my husband and I opened our own local business. And also right around that time, it was 2020 and the school shut down, so we decided to start homeschooling my daughter. And I just became super overwhelmed. I was just learning, what exactly ADHD was. I was understanding my nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, and how that was actually affecting me and my parenting, my job. And so everything that I advocate for, I really had to learn and educate myself on. And that's what I really try to help other women understand and to just be kinder to themselves. You could be stuck in a survival mode that you've been in your whole life and you don't actually know how to calm down. Or you may have a misdiagnosis or no diagnosis at all, and that doesn't change your brain. There is a neurodivergence, and we just think differently. And I just truly started educating myself and advocating for that. And it just brought up, how I thought. And so I started reading a lot of self-help books. And so again, we were talking about Tiago Forte, building a second brain. And so just being so scatterbrained, I needed one place to put it all. And so I, read that book. I got into a lot of Martha Stewart. She does a lot of organization books. And I'm looking at all of my books. It's about habit building and habit stacking. And I just became, well, I guess ADHD. I became a bit hyper focused, and not that I wanted to heal myself, but that I really wanted to understand myself. I saw a lot of it in my children, and with ADHD, we mask a lot, and that is just looking at everyone else and am I going to act like you or like you act different or I'm going to act different in front of different people. And my daughter's growing up with me and my son's growing up with me and we act so much alike and they're like I'm just like my mom, and there's that proudness, whereas I grew up not necessarily knowing who I was. So I do just find power in that and just help other women find power in that.
That's awesome. I think there are a lot of physical and mental things, right, that get misdiagnosed.
Hmm.
And we end up having to figure it out ourselves.
Hmm.
And we go to the doctor and we go, hey, I think I match these things. What do you think about this? And they're like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, that could fit. And you're like, really? I'm paying you. You should know this.
Yeah.
And so we've had like a whole segment that we've been working on lately with menopause. And I've forgotten the author of the book, but I bought one of the books on menopause symptoms, and it's two pages of nothing but columns of all the different kinds of symptoms you can have. It is insane
Hmm.
how many different symptoms you can have for menopause. And a lot of them seem very commonplace, like you would have put them with a menopause diagnosis. And a lot of the women I've been interviewing are saying the doctors can't figure it out because they think it's something medical when it's really it's hormones and they don't get it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. Anyway, so getting back to
Well, a lot
organizing.
of women also their ADHD symptoms more so come become prominent during perimenopausal and just menopause because we're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated a lot more, and where we were able to mask it, a lot easier when we were younger, it's just becoming a lot more prominent. And so even, Mel Robbins kind of talked about that as she got older. She was just unable to mask it. And so I think it is like a lot of us women, we are just at, very young age. We start our periods and like you're not feeling well, you still have to go to school. And so we just like we still have to man through and power through ourselves. And so we a lot women are natural maskers to begin with.
Absolutely, because we're so busy taking care of everybody else, we can't have
Hmm.
problems, right?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes, we do. So, talking about organizing, because you said that's one of the big things that you do. That's your planning business, is you help people plan and organize their days, their lives, their businesses. So,
Their
talk about
homes, their
that.
homeschool.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, do you help them organize their houses too? Or
Honestly, for me, everything that I was doing, it was either how to build a business, how to take care of your home, how to homeschool, and I had to put everything together myself. And so I really help women put it together. When you're waking up in the morning, how are you going to start your day with your children, incorporating it? Yeah, organizing your house because that is a lot of mental strain. I mean, your environment is definitely shows how your inside is. If you're very scattered inside, your outside is also going to be scattered. And also, a lot of women come to me and they're just, I'm running my house, I'm homeschooling, and I want to start a business, but I'm kind of already feeling like I'm failing in these other things. So how do I add in the other? So I take you down to the basic structure and we just rebuild from there. And it's your own goals, it's your own accountability, and I just help you through the process. I obviously do know like marketing and how to actually do the part of the business as well, but I help you put it all together because a lot of YouTube videos or courses are just about the business, but what do you do when your kids are screaming at you and you're trying to answer the phone because the phone is ringing and your husband's, texting you because he needs access into the next, house? It just, oh, it could be, I was gonna say, you turn around and the 3-year-old has dumped the assortment of buttons, right? Like Montessori didn't work for us very long. So what do you do in the everyday? How do you structure it and build it to where you can continue to add in more things? Um, Also, a lot of moms come to me and, they have almost a hard time like delegating. Like, how do I get my children involved? And, how do I help, kind of teach them? Like, my mom, mom is in a meeting right now, how to be respectful. What could they be doing? It is. I just overall help women with structure and what they need. And I am going through just different clients that I have and certain problems that I've helped them through, as well as myself.
well, yeah, shoot, using yourself as a great example
Yeah.
because you have firsthand experience. You know what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am. 6 years now, which is, oh, it's so crazy to say because I remember watching beginner homeschool videos and, just like, oh, am I ever going to get to be that experienced? And now to be doing, I do Facebook Lives now. I just did a Facebook Live of letting go of productivity guilt because that's another thing that women really struggle with is if I sit down, I still could be doing something else. Or if I sit down, I don't feel like I'm resting. So give yourself that permission to rest. Like rest is not laziness. And so a lot of women feel they have to earn that and you don't because the mom's job is never done. Homeschool is never done. And so we still have to take care of ourselves. And that is very much self-care. This year, have really started to read for self-care. Um, I read just a couple chapters after the kids go to bed at bedtime, but I have noticed that that has helped tremendously with rumination. And rumination is those cycling thoughts, whether conversations or past, present, or future conversations, moments, events. Um, if I just immerse myself in a different world, I can stop it, and then I'm not ruminating the next day. So it very much, there's so many different kinds of self-care that we could start focusing on work and working on, that you could start to feel like, okay, well, I've rested. And also, I finished 33 books this year, and two of them being 1,000 pages. I am actually currently reading the Count
Oh
of
my
Monte
gosh.
Cristo. And so I'm loving this. If you guys, best revenge story ever. If you haven't, read it. But it's very much self-care. But then reading a book, there's that. I just finished a book, and so I've just finished 33 books. And there is being proud of yourself in those moments as well. And there's that accomplishment. So you can also, again, habit stack. You could do things together that still make you feel good.
It's funny that you say that because I work in an office setting every day. And when I go home at night and cook dinner and get all that cleaned up, my relaxation time is getting on my personal laptop and, writing a free guide or putting information on my blog, on my website, or it's something computer related because I love, love, love technology. Love it.
Mhm.
And, I don't think my husband always understands it. He's like, you're always working. And I'm like, this is the way that I relax. I get those thoughts out of my head onto my computer, and then I can relax. That's how I do it. And I've got the TV in the background. I don't even know what's playing.
Yeah.
I'm focused on my computer. And, whereas he'll watch videos on his tablet, whatever. But I don't know, for me to relax is to get on my computer and dump my thoughts out of my head so I can sleep because who
Actually,
knows?
um, David Allen, getting things done, he actually calls that closing loops. And so
See?
that is actually a technique. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. You have all those, did I do this? Did I do that? I want to build this. When you start closing those loops, he calls it mind like water. I think that's like an old karate term. And you get it down on paper and you close those loops. And then he says, your mind is designed to create ideas, not store them. So you have to write them down. And it's
Yeah.
all those ones you don't remember that you're like, oh man, I should have wrote that down. And you close those loops and it clears your mind. So that's actually a technique.
Oh, that's good to know. I can tell him that now. What I find is interesting, and you might have heard about this or know about this thing too, and ways to figure out how to do this. But it seems to me, at least for me, a lot of times these great, brilliant ideas come to me when I'm either in the shower and cannot write them down, or my head has hit the pillow and I've been, well, trying to go to sleep for 5 minutes. And then this fantastic video of me talking about whatever program I'm, offering that month is showing up in my head. I can see all the details. I'm a very detailed person and I can dream in details. So I see all the details. I see the people in the audience. I have all the words. They sound perfect. And I wake up the next morning and go, what in the heck did I say last night? Because now I do not remember any of that, but it was really good at the time. So when you have those thoughts in places where you cannot write them down, what do you suggest we do with that?
Well, honestly, a lot of people still do it. I know Taylor Swift is very known for constantly having voice notes. And so if she'll get a tune or a little, verse in her head, she'll immediately record it, whether she's going to sleep or in the middle of a conversation. So I think it is those those people who take those moments to write them down. I mean, I don't. I'm like you when I do my best thinking like right before, bed. I think that also is just a bit of manifestation,
Um,
and um I think it's that visualization that is our superpower.
um,
And I would really start to either one, write it down, do a voice note, or I would pick a few points, like those big points that you really wanted to make, and then write those down and then sit with those in front of you. Because I do know, like, as for myself, if I am kind of planning something or, what, before I'm going to bed, I do have some key moments. So I focus on those rather than the full conversation.
I think that's a good idea. And I think somebody I interviewed last year said, get out of bed and go write it down or record
Mhm.
it, like you said. And I'm like, okay, but then I'm awake and I'm a very light sleeper. And when my brain is awake and talking to myself, I cannot go back to sleep and I can lay there for 2 hours. So,
So then I would keep a notebook with a pen and just like half asleep, scribble on it, just certain keywords that would hopefully spark your memory. Because I know a lot of people who record their dreams, they
oh,
record them before they even get out of bed because as soon as they get out of bed, they'll forget. So I think, right, we also go into, again, your nervous system. During the day, you're on the go, and not that you're necessarily in survival mode, but you are definitely in a different, system rather than going to sleep. And you are, I think, going to have a better understanding of the situation when you are in a calmer state, and that's going to bed. Um, and so I would keep a little notebook and just, even if you're not getting out of bed, just scribble a few things down. That way you're not like sitting up, things like that. That's what I would recommend.
that's a great idea. I was laughing because I'm thinking to myself, if 5 minutes into my sleep, I don't want to get back up because then I know I will wake up and then I'll be awake
Well,
for an hour.
and if you
But it's
bring up your phone, that light will also wake you up. Yeah.
yep, yes, ma'am, it will. So I'm like, man, that defeats the whole purpose of trying to sleep, right?
Yes.
But I find it interesting that for me, the times when these great ideas occur are when I'm not at a place where I can write, like in the shower. So one of my friends was like, "Well, you need to buy one of those dry erase boards you can just tack up on your shower wall and just write notes when you're in the shower." And I'm like, I don't really want to be that person. I
Yeah, but you know
It up like
what?
you're on all the time, like you don't, your brain does not take a break. And I'm like,
But
I
I
don't know if
think
I'm
it
going to
is
do
a
that.
brilliance, and like I said, just bringing up that commonplace book, that's exactly what the greatest of the greats do.
Oh,
Albert
really?
Einstein, yeah, like Tiago Forte, building a second brain. He talks about just that, the greatest of the greats, and they had a notebook and every idea they wrote down. Or visual people, uh they're inventing something, so they design it in their head, so they immediately draw it because they'll lose it. Your mind is
Yep.
made for creating ideas, not storing them. So you do want to write it down as quickly as possible because you are closing that loop. You're not forgetting it. That is one thing. Being ADHD and just even I am a planner, I've had to very much teach myself how to be consistent in a planner. And I am always all over the place. And so I have a specific section in my planner that I write down all those things. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do this. All those things that come up for me when I'm pre-planning, or like I need to, or I'm sitting in the middle of something and I'm actively working on it. And I'm like, oh, I need to do this later. And instead of going and doing it, because I used to do that before, get distracted, go and do it, I'll just write it down, finish what I'm doing. One of the best definitions of focus that I've ever learned is follow one course until successful. And
Oh.
Yes. And so for me, it's finish what you were doing, write down the thought because it's closing that loop. And ADHD, I'll forget immediately. So I write down that so I close the loop and I don't forget, but I still continue on my first course because if not, it'll be unsuccessful and I won't finish it. And I'll just be scattered and everywhere else. And so I've really learned that finish one, write it down so you don't forget, and then you can complete that after.
You know what's funny? That just reminded me of something. You know how many courses we as digital people will buy and never start them? I have at least three, and I started putting it in my phone on one of those text pages where you can just type a bunch of text, courses to finish.
Yes, the same. And for me, I always advocate because David Allen in Getting Things Done explains if it's more than one action step, it's a project. So
Oh,
my biggest example is laundry. That's what it hit me the most. I used to write do laundry on my to-do list all the time. And how many times did you think I actually got it started? So you have to gather laundry, put it in the washer, change it from the washer to the dryer. You have to fold, you have to put it away. And so if you write down every single step in small steps, you're more likely to do it.
that sounds awesome. It's a process, not just
Yes.
an idea.
And so, for example, yeah, the watching courses, I have to sit down, watch 15 minutes. That is my planner specifically. Is in 15-minute increments. And I have to sit down at my desk and set a 15-minute timer. And more often than not, it's one task that takes 15 minutes, especially you're a content creator. So scripting something, creating a cover photo, you don't realize how long that takes. But if you actually do put it in time, which hello, ADHD, I have problem with time management, setting a timer, 15-minute increments and writing in my lines is really helpful. Uh I'm trying to remember his name. He does it's a Ryder Carroll. He does the bullet journal and he specifically talks about like captain logging or interstitial journaling. And it's literally sitting down and saying, okay, I completed this. Now I need to do this. So this is what I need to do. And it's putting down your feelings and the next step, what you just did so you can feel accomplished. But sometimes you have to convince yourself to get up and do things. And so it's that when I'm really, really struggling, I'm going to sit down and watch the course that I need to watch, even if it's just 15 minutes. I could stop after that or I could continue. But for me, it's with ADHD, it's the execution. And so I get revel brain and I have to convince myself to get started, to continue, so I have learned tricks. Also with reading a book, especially long books, you could put in the audio book or with Amazon, there's the assistive reader with the ebooks. And so that very much helps me not convince myself to stop. You know?
That's a good
So,
idea.
yeah,
I
so
have
you
never
do
used
you
the Amazon one yet.
I highly suggest it. I just read Red Rising and I used a male voice and then I did Alchemize and I used a female. So you could get kind of creative.
That's a good idea. And I had a thought, and of course it left me now. Um, you were talking about captain planning or captain
Captain's
something.
log, yes.
Okay, captain's
Interstitial
log.
journaling.
I've never heard of that. Um, so I should send you this and let you look at it. I have an ADHD planner guide that I created about a year or so ago. Um, and so if you had a piece of paper that you could list all the things you need to do today, or let's say it's a goal list, so you have a bunch of goals. How does it help an ADHD person feel accomplished if you have a list of 6 things you want to do and you get to the end of the day and you've done none or one, and you're like, okay, now I'm overwhelmed because I didn't get anything done I said I was going to do, and now all those other 4 things have to go on tomorrow's list. How can we, as digital creators, help people with ADHD successfully show themselves that they have done something important that day? How can we help you
Well,
or
for
others?
one, you're writing it down wrong. You need to
Huh?
do smaller steps.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have to break it down into something that even yourself can't argue with. Um, so okay, for example, the most recent thing that I did was this weekend. I was procrastinating uh pre-building my June and July planner. So I create my own planners. It's a digital planner system. I download my PDFs into Canva and then I do links and stuff like that. Like I build my own planner. And I've just, ADHD, I've been procrastinating that because I put in there, create June and July planner. And so I had to break it down where I had to, create month links, link the days. And again, it took me probably 15 minutes to go through every single day, rename them, link them properly, as well as I have some sub planners and so it does take a little time. And so in my mind, I know it takes time. So I have to break it down. In the next 15 minutes, this is all I have to do. And it does very much help with the overwhelm. Um, when I'm, filming or doing a Facebook Live, I have to, script Facebook Live. I have to, if I wanted to provide a guide, then I have to build that in Canva, so it's build guide in Canva. And it's putting it in just smaller increments where even you yourself can't say no. It's also task batching. So if I'm in Canva, I'm going to build other ones, my other cover photos or just anything that I need in Canva while I'm there. Because again, there's a bit of that hyper focus. When I'm here, then I could do all of the
Yeah.
things. And I'm not running around even on screens because you'll open a new screen, I'll just, stare at it like, what was I gonna do? It just, you get scatterbrained, especially moving and bouncing around. So if I'm in one screen, I could task batch into that. So I would definitely start breaking down your task into smaller. And like I said, the interstitial journaling might help. Like, I just finished this. This is what I need to do. I need to break it down. So, what's the first step? And then do the first step. And then what would I do from here? And it is a bit of a process. That's why I get a lot of women who come to me for that help because it is overwhelming. It's stressful. They have the kids and just they have so much that they want to, start organizing. And so, again, where do I start? But there is a starting point.
And that's a good point. They go, and what we say around here is you got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Even if it's just one little small thing. I know I've had days, not this year that I can remember, but last year for sure, where I had so much to do. I just sat in front of the computer and just stared. Like,
Absolutely.
I
There's
don't
also
even know where to start because I have so much to do.
decision fatigue is a real thing as
Yep.
well.
See?
And I mean, imagine how many choices you make just for your family alone. Dinner, breakfast,
Yep.
snacks, the cookie or the shopping list. There's all those minor decisions build up. And so if you do look at some successful people, they have a lot of systems. And so they'll buy the same t-shirt style just to, I don't want to have to think about what I have to wear. I'm going to wear the same thing because my mind is on other things. So your mind only has so much capacity. And so it is really building a system that works. So like for me with mealtime, I started theming Taco Tuesday and Meat Wednesday and just that took away just that little bit of the decision. And then at least, okay, it's taco. What kind of taco do I want? It was that much simpler.
That sounds awesome. At least you have like a broad category to start with, right?
Hmm.
And then you can niche it down to,
Hmm.
so it's Meat Wednesday. Then you can say, what kind of meat do I want? Do I want fish, chicken, steak, you know, um,
Well,
turkey?
and
Like,
I was gonna
and
say we own a little homestead here, so
oh, nice.
yeah, we've got the ducks and the chickens, and so we've got goat meat, we've got elk. So I mean, we do. I'm like, when it's meat, it's a meat night. So
That's perfect. So for business owners, so we talked about moms and how to help moms, whether they're homeschooling or not. And I 100% agree with homeschooling. When my kids were coming up, it was like a poo-poo idea. And everybody was like, oh, what in the world do you think you're doing? Blah, blah, blah. My sister raised three college graduates by homeschooling them. So I am 100% on with the homeschooling idea. I wish my grandkids could be homeschooled. Um, and see, I lost my train of thought. Business owners. I said we talked about
yes.
moms. So let's talk about the business owners. How do you help business owners with organization? Are you picking like organizing their day? Are you picking organizing their projects? Like what kind of organizing do you do for a business owner?
For business owners, it's a lot of project management.
Okay.
I also highly suggest the book, The Checklist Manifesto.
Yeah.
And that book, in particular, is a doctor who does everyone remember like when the hospital changed and you go in and they're like, what's your name? What's your birthday? And they had this checklist. It
Mhm.
was from this doctor who saw that so many medical malpractices could be prevented. And he looked at other professions like pilots who have checklists, and in an emergency, you go through your checklist. And right, you can't necessarily rely on your mind in that moment.
Yep.
So, what you can rely is on that checklist. So, for a lot of the entrepreneurs and business owners who come to me, it's getting them to sit down and actually writing proper policies and procedures, which is just if you get a phone call, what do you want your front office person to
Yep.
do? If
Yep.
they don't know, if you don't have some sort of written policy, then they're going to be just as confused. Or if you're starting yourself, how do you want that structure to be? What do you want the script to say so that when you hire someone, you can give it to them and it'll still flow? So it
So
is a lot
go
of
ahead.
that, as well as the project management of I'm in this process. When I'm delegating it, who knows where, where all the moving parts are going, who has access to the moving parts. So it's building a lot of those different systems.
That is perfect because two things. One, at work, I've been on my job 34 years. And so I am talking about the R word. My boss won't let me repeat it out loud, but it is retirement, and he can't stand me saying it. I said, I don't have a date. I cannot tell you when it will happen, but I'm in my 60s, so I'm telling you it's going to happen. And he's like, oh my gosh, Becky, you have so much knowledge from this building, this place that you work in. How in the world are we ever going to replace you? And I said, you're not. And I just smile and he's like, "Oh my God, I don't know what we're going to do." And I said, "You know what?" So I started doing videos
Mhm.
of some of the processes because we've all written procedures on those processes, but they are not as detailed as I would have written them. When I first wrote them, I was told make them pretty generic, just give
Mhm.
them the idea of what to do and leave it at that. And I'm like, no, see, if it were me, it'd be screenshots, it would be step one, step two, step three. That's the way I work. So I started doing the videos, step one, step two, step three.
Mhm.
And he was like, you've done how many videos already? And I said, I've done several. And he was like, I should take a look at those before you do too many. And I'm like, I'm going to do them my way anyway. So
Yeah.
whatever. But it made me think. I'm like, you know what? I do checklists all the time, and I don't think of it as a business or as something that people would want.
Hmm.
until a few months ago, and I was helping somebody with their house, and I deal with a lot of security and safety issues. And I said, "What kind of things do you do for your house when you go on vacation?" And they're like, "I don't know, I just lock the doors and I leave." And I'm like, "Really? That's all you do?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "We need to make a list of all the things that
Hmm.
you should check before." I mean, and it sounds maybe silly to some people. I don't think it sounds silly. Turn off the coffee pot, turn off the lights, set your AC or your heater, work down because you exactly what you just said. You cannot
Yeah,
remember all those things. And you get an hour down the road and you're like, "Oh my gosh, did I turn off the coffee pot?"
exactly. I was just gonna say that.
Yep.
Sorry, excuse me, you get in those moments and robotic mode, and then you don't remember. It's almost like driving. Like I drove all the way home and I don't remember it.
Yep.
You do. You just get in that. I switched it off and you're like, I probably did, but like, could it be that one moment I forgot?
You know what's
And then
funny too is
you're on a plane and it's like
yes.
worse. Like, oh, I can't do anything now. And that I think it's almost that anxiety that almost puts it in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then you start questioning it and you're second guessing and you're like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh." So my husband is an engineer and he's big onto Excel spreadsheets, right? Has been since he started his college career. And I used to make fun of him and his checklist because he's got a checklist for everything. I mean, we go
Hmm.
camping a lot. He's got a camping checklist. I'm like, "Are you serious?" Of course, there are sheets and blankets and pillows in the camper. There's food. I'm just like generic, right? And he's like, "Nope. Do we have sugar? Do we have flour? Can I cook over the stove? Do I have the pots? Do I have?" I'm like, "Are
Hmm.
you serious?" But
Do you have
husband,
water to clean it and water to drink?
those checklists have saved us. And now I don't make fun of his checklist anymore. I do giggle about it, but when we go camping, he puts a checklist on the kitchen table. And it's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, Becky, I have a section, 2 or 3 rows of things I have to do." And then he's got all the rest.
Yeah.
Nope.
And it takes that mental capacity because I mean, even if I sit down the night before and like I need to pack, I'll sit down and I'm still just
Yep.
in that brainstorming session and I'll forget something. And then, I mean, a charger is not that expensive to buy at Walmart, but do I really want to buy a new
Right.
charger when I could just made a checklist?
Yep, exactly. We've got sunscreen on it because we have a boat, so we're always on the boat. You got the boat, you got the camper, or the car is filled up with gas, all
And
this
I'm
stuff.
sure,
And I'm
I
like,
mean,
it's a
it doesn't
lot.
have to be perfect right away. Add to it, continue to build on it. There's going to be that one thing you forgot, and you're like, put it on the list. We're
Yep.
not going to
And,
forget that
and
next
that's what
time.
he does. That's what he
Yeah.
does. And then one time he added it to the list and I added it to the list and it was in 2 different columns on 2 different parts of the checklist. And he was like, "Wait a minute, now we have two."
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's what happens when you let me get on your checklist and start adding stuff." And he's like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
So we
Or
have one
start
person
penciling
who,
it in.
exactly, one person is allowed to add things to the spreadsheet because then we wind up with multiples of things and it drives him crazy. Okay, so you mentioned to me earlier that you have some checklists that you make. So do you have checklists that you sell, and is there a website that we can go to look at those? Because I am
So,
sure there are a whole lot of people who would be interested in those kinds of ideas.
I don't have any checklists up yet. I am slowly building that with a few of like
Okay.
my clients and just seeing what they're doing. But I do currently have quite a few guides. One of the biggest things that I get of homeschool moms considering bringing in income is they don't really know where to start or they just
I
need
see
some
that.
motivation or ideas. Like, what can I do? So if I do have realistic income ideas for stay-at-home and homeschool moms. It's a guide that you can download. It just goes into a few of the businesses I've ran myself as well as helped my clients build. It is a short guide. It's not like all of the jobs that you could do or incomes that you could bring in, but it hopefully will give you some motivation of like, maybe I can do this, and then just get you to start looking into it yourself.
This is perfect because I know someone. very close to me who is homeschooling their child. I think he is probably 11, 10, 11, something like that. And when she's done with homeschooling, she's bored. She's like,
Yeah.
now what do? I can't leave because if I leave the house, I have to take him with me. So I can't go to work out, in the world in the city
Hmm.
because I've got to take him. So, like, what do these mothers do with their days? So now, are you finding women asking you for things like you're just talking about, like what kind of jobs they can do? Is your list, does it talk about jobs that are outside the home or
They're
online or
very
both?
flexible jobs.
Okay.
Anything that a mom could do that needs to do to add into her own schedule. Just being a homeschooler and getting busy now in my own business, my own homeschool has shifted. Um, so you definitely need something that's very flexible, something you could do your own schedule. Um, I also incorporated some businesses that if you and your husband wanted to get together and start something yourself, like me and mine did, I there's a lot of husband and wife teams that I see that one goes out and does the business, the mom will stay home and answer the phones and stuff. That's essentially how I started before I started branching out with, helping other moms. So I included a couple of incomes like that. But for me, it's sparking the idea because so many moms and their homeschools and their skills are just different.
Right.
And I have someone doing their own book blog, and
Oh,
that's
cool.
actually become, quite successful. And just watching that, she was getting like, I think she said 10 to 12 views, and now she's getting like 600. So she's just absolutely
Oh,
thrilled. Yeah. So she's been working with me for a couple of weeks, and she's, again, just so thrilled at the exposure she's now getting and she's learning. So if you're just really wanting to put more time and effort into yourself, that's what I do. I offer, on Mondays, I offer hourly sessions. They're group sessions, and we come together with like our weekly goals. And everybody just comes together. This is what I want to accomplish. And then on Thursday, we have an accountability session where everybody says, this is what I was able to do. This, I couldn't get this done. And then on Fridays, I offer 2 hour deep work sessions where all the moms come together and just, if you're working through kind of my program and you're on a certain step and you're struggling, I offer that extra bit of help if you need it. But if you're, we had someone reorganizing their closet and like, do you like this? Showing clothes and like, do I look good in this? Like, it's just a supportive area. And so if you are decleaning, we offer a place to, with ADHD, it's called body modeling. And so just sitting together and I'm going to do this while you're working on this and they're going to work on that. It just gets everybody together. And so many moms have said that, again, like, I don't know when to do this. I don't know what to do. So if you actually schedule the time and put in that effort, then that I've seen is the biggest, I don't know how to say this.
it sounds like a benefit.
Yes, the benefit. There you go. The biggest benefit is you to actually schedule in that time for yourself. And then those moments to feel proud of yourself and okay, well, I didn't break it down enough, so how can I break it down smaller? And you just have that extra help.
That sounds perfect because I know a lot of people don't like doing things on their own. And so
Hmm.
they don't even start because they're just like, I
Exactly.
can't do this. So
Or they don't
doing
know
group
where to
coaching,
start. Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. Yep. Group coaching is perfect. I do my Stronger Together tribe meets monthly here in Virginia where I'm at. And it started out as a business networking event, uh, monthly event, and it's turned into that plus some.
Hmm.
So I have some friends who are retired, and they're like, "Well, what about us? Why can't we come?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't say you couldn't come." And they're like, "We don't have a business," and I'm just like, Okay, so they felt excluded. And I'm like,
But they still
gosh,
have knowledge. They still
exactly.
have experience, especially for the beginners.
Yep. So I told him, you know what? It's all inclusive. As long as you're a woman, you're allowed in. And a couple of months ago, we had a lady who came one night and she was like, I wasn't even going to come tonight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? She's like, my mother's got dementia and I'm really dealing with it. And she's very angry and she's violent and I just can't take it anymore. And so we were there talking to her for an hour and a half, just being there for her because she needed it that night. And I said, see, this is why it's a community of women. It's
Hmm.
not just a business networking group. It is a community. We are here for each other. And, we share our wins, we share our goals, we share, our losses or our anger or whatever it is we're going through. And I, to me, that's worth it.
Hmm.
If for nothing else, if she can go away that night feeling like she's been heard and we're all trying to give her supportive words of encouragement, she can go on the next day. It's just she needed a break. And I'm like, I
Hmm.
am so glad that you came and I'm so glad that we were here for you because if I had just made it a networking business meeting only and nobody else can come, she would have never shown up.
Hmm.
Right. So
Well,
sometimes
and
we
you
just need to
do.
be there.
And you yourself hit your own plateau. And so for me, for example, uh in my own business, I was getting really busy. I have clients and I wanted to scale. And like, how do I do that? I already feel busy myself. So I had to take my own advice and I had to hire, somebody on the outside who held me to, to more accountability of myself and had more knowledge than I did to help put it all together because I had grown, So now what do I do with that? I didn't know. So I did. I had to hire someone who's like, okay, well, this is what I do. Calm down, I'm gonna take you under my wing and I'm going to show you how to do it. And that has been, the best thing that I've done for my business was hiring someone because again you talk about rumination and you get stuck and you get stuck in should I do this, I'm too scared to do this, or you have so many choices, or do I do Facebook lives or do I want to do YouTube videos, or there's just so many, so um having someone to just help structure you gets you out of that stuck.
Yeah.
Because that was one thing for me, like for a good year. And I had tried so many different things on my own, channel and stuff. And just, I was stuck and just too many questions. And I wasn't having action. And so by hiring someone, I was able to get out of that. I was able to start doing the action correctly, and actually starting to see progress. And which also started helping my clients because I was able to show up more with more experience because ultimately that's what you want,
Right.
and you want your clients to like, okay, well, I'm finally where I want to be, so uh sometimes it does take investing in yourself and it takes uh jumping out of your circle, and just talking, that woman, and you're building a community. And that is, you have, like I said, two parts of your nervous system. You have a survival mode and a rest and digest. Well, how do you get to your rest and digest? We are mammals, and that is socialization. So it's not just your husband. It's not just your kids. You really need to be branching out to other women
Yeah.
because they're going to have ideas that you never thought of that would help you systemize something a little bit easier. And it
Yep.
is, we are stuck in our house and almost stuck in this box. So you do have to get out of it. And we have better technology than our, ancestors. So I think you should take those chances and opportunities to just gain knowledge from other women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to close our session today. Now, you mentioned you have a free guide. Is that on your website or do we need to
It
attach it?
is.
Okay, perfect.
You can attach it. I attached the link. You can also find me on Facebook, the ACME Planner. I also have a Facebook group, the Homeschool Mom Network, if you're specifically a
Oh,
homeschool mom. Yeah, that is recent. That is pretty new. So I am starting to build that. But I'm doing Facebook Lives, like I said, letting go of productivity guilt. You'll find all of that on there. I also have the website. All my information is on there as well.
perfect. I will be sure to share that out with everybody. So, we've had a great, you and I could talk forever, I think.
We really could.
I I have loved talking to you, and I wrote down some
Yeah,
names of
you're
some of
my
your books you
people.
mentioned. I am. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna look up some of these books you mentioned and yeah, see if I can't promote those a little bit more too. And if we can, find some other topics that you want to discuss, later time, let me know. We can do this again. But for the rest of you, stay tuned for the next podcast. But I will make sure that I put all of Sylvia's information on the bottom of this so you guys can go link to it and go look her up and go check out her group. And we'll talk to you soon and stay tuned. All right, thanks. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.